Hello. Hello. Can all of you hear me? Okay, great. So, welcome everyone to IMTS and thank you for attending today's class. I hope my voice is coming crystal clear to all of you. Okay, great, great. If anyone is not able to hear me clearly, you can reply to me in the chat box and I will try to fix up the issues. Okay. So, how are all of you doing? How was everyone's day today? Does anyone have any questions for me regarding the topics that we have covered yesterday or in the previous classes? Fahad says, great sir. I am Fahad. I am doing absolutely fine. Right, enjoying the winters in India. Right, so it's good. Enjoying my life. I hope all of you are enjoying your life as well. Okay, great. Okay, very cold weather in UAE. I heard from someone that in UAE winters are not there. What is the minimum temperature in UAE throughout the year? It was raining for last 2 days. That's good. 14 degrees just, okay. Uh, Here it is around, it varies from 4 degrees to 10 degrees. It was till last night. Okay. That is okay. In India it's around 4 degrees, 5 degrees, like that. Today, again I was facing the issue of uploading PPT, right? So I was trying various, yeah, finally it got uploaded. Okay. So can all of you see the PPT? Can all of you see the PPT with the heading event evaluation? Okay, great. I hope there is no background noise coming from my end, right? If anyone is hearing any background noise, please let me know. All okay, all set. Okay, great. So let's start. So the topic that we will be learning today is event evaluation, right? In our professional life, right, we get the chance to either organize or participate in the events which are organized by our organizations, right? It can be marketing event, it can be promotional event, right? Or it can be any type of event which is beneficial for the organization. So first of all, tell me, what do we mean by evaluation? What first thought comes in your mind when you hear of the term evaluation? What exactly evaluation is? Yes, anyone wants to reply? What is evaluation? It's a common English term. And why event evaluation is important for any assessment? Evaluate the performance, examine, yes, all three are correct. Very good. Very good, Fahad, Rezi and Kevin. What about others? To arrive at decision. Okay. Why is it important to evaluate an event? When the initial planning is done perfectly, why is it so important to evaluate? To arrive at a decision, Sunil says, okay. Event evaluation needs to better coordination. Okay, good point. My question is, why is it so important? Right, nowadays every organization does the evaluation of understand the gap between the actual and the plan. Very good point, Rajiv. Great. Any other point? Anyone would like to make? Sarfaraz, can you hear me? In order to double check, okay? Okay, great. So most of you in some or the other way are correct. See, one of the main reasons for evaluation is that it is necessary for you and your team, right, to check it is to make you and your team more efficient and effective, right, so that the next time you organize an event, you or your team or your organization, right, so we can say it is all about finding our mistake, like Rajiv was mentioning, to find the loopholes and try to overcome it and learning from the mistakes, right, since no one is perfect, right, so it is the way of trying to fill the gap between what we have planned and what and the way the event has happened. Right, now one question comes in mind, when to evaluate an event, before the event or after the event is completed, or in the middle of an event. When is it the best time to evaluate an event? To know the customer satisfaction rate. Harib says objectives and motives were met. Okay, good point, Harib. Yes. Now my next question is, when to evaluate? When to evaluate an event? No one? In the middle of the given task. Path is okay. Jerem says during the event. Okay. Path is after the event. Okay. Sunil is in the middle of the task. Okay. I think the best time to evaluate, see, until and unless the performance is finished, it will be difficult to evaluate, right? It will all be a mess up if you start evaluating in the middle of an event, because the whole team was busy, will be busy in performing during the event, right? So the best time to evaluate is at the end of the event, right? So by the end of the event, you have all the facts and figures, right? And you can cross check with the estimated facts and figures you have at the beginning of the event, right? So the best time to evaluate an event is at the end of the event, so that we can get the clear picture. Yes. Okay. Now let's start with the PPT. So this is the background of event evaluation. Okay. Now at the end of the event, when we start evaluating, these questions are more likely to come in everyone's mind, right? Was this event a success or failure? Who in the country would be more likely to say it was a success? Who would be unhappy with this event, right? So these are some of the questions which comes in the organizer's mind at the end of the event. Okay, so in today's session, we will be able to articulate the nature and importance of evaluation to the event management functions, describe what event evaluations should focus on, right? Explain the purpose of event evaluation, including the needs and expectations of the stakeholders. Everyone understand the term stakeholders? Okay. Stakeholder means the beneficiaries or the sponsors. Yes, very good. Describe the cyclical holistic nature of event evaluation using the three critical S of events. Assess the different forms of evaluation models and methods. Formulate and prepare an event evaluation report. Right. So first of all, see the definition of event evaluation according to Gates. Event evaluation is concerned with assessment which usually involves measuring a set of key variables as well as monitoring those variables to determine positive and negative outcomes. It is a subjective determination that can utilize objective quantitative measures. Right? This is the basic definition of event evaluation. Now, event evaluation perspectives. Event evaluations are focused on measuring and monitoring the implementation of an event. According to Allen, he gave this definition in 2008. Now these are the perspective of these grades, Allen, Waldorf, right? So these are the grades in this management field. Every aspect of the event must be evaluated, including the factors such as human resource management and volunteerism, facilities and access, and hospitality. Event evaluation is mostly conducted after the event, as I was saying. Now, what are the reasons for all event evaluation? It allows for more informed decisions towards greater efficiency and more positive results to be made. It is also used to measure the success or failure of an event. Right now, there are internally driven reasons from the organization's point of view and externally driven reasons for the event evaluation. So first of all, let's see the internally driven reasons and then externally driven reasons. Let's start with internally driven reasons. So till now, is it clear to everyone? Any questions so far? Anyone has? Okay, great. Okay. Akshata has joined us. Akshata, can you hear me? Akshata, quickly you can reply to me in the chat box. Okay. So good evening and welcome to class. Welcome to IMTS. The topic that we are studying today is event evaluation. Right? We have completed the definition part and we are into the reasons of why event information is required. Why event evaluation is required. Right? These are the reasons, and these are the internally driven reasons, and these are the right. So let's see the internally driven reasons to determine whether the goals and objectives have been met. Right now, there's always a reason before doing anything. Similarly, there is a reason for organizing an event. It might be possible that it is done for marketing purpose, for promotion purpose, right, or for the branding purpose. There might be various reasons of the organization. Right now, by the end of the event, with the help of evaluation, we can check whether the whether the purpose has been met or not, or whether the goals that was set initially in the beginning was met or not. Right. Next is to engender accountability. Does everyone understand the term accountability? Right. Consideration, responsibility, yes. And engender means to give birth to, right? It means to give birth to. Let me write it down. Engender means to give birth, right? Right. So with the help of event evaluation, we can fix the accountability. Right, if there are any loopholes, right, we can make the concerned person accountable, and we can punish those persons, right, to set up an example, so that the next time the employees who are involved with event evaluation can perform in a much better way, and they have a fear of their accountability, right? So this is another reason. Mr. Sandhu has joined us. Mr. Sandhu, can you hear me? Sandeep, Sadhu, sorry, not Sandhu. Sandeep, can you hear me? Can you hear me well? Okay, great. Welcome to IMTS. Thank you for coming to the class today. The topic that we are learning today is event evaluation, right? So we were just going through the reasons of why event evaluation. It's okay, commercials. Sandeep, right? So we are studying today about event evaluation and why is it required, right? We have just completed the definition and going into the reasons, the internal reasons and the external reasons. Okay. If you have any questions, you can ask me during the class. Okay. Third point, to identify and address the problem and challenges. Right? Now see, if we don't evaluate, it will be difficult to first of all find the problem or the challenges, right? Once the evaluation is done, it will be clear in the form of facts and figures that what exactly the problem is and what are the challenges the company is facing, right? And then it will be easier to work on that problem and challenges. Next point, to determine whether an event management functions have achieved the expected outcomes or not. Right. See, event organization like promotions, marketing, right, is a very costly thing. Right. The company has to invest a lot of money. They have to hire a hotel, some lounge, right, and have to spend a heavy amount on managing that event, right? But their outcome is even right if they are able to achieve the outcome, which is even right in the form of revenue or in the form of promotions, which is right, which is more important. Then the event then the purpose of organizing an event is successful. But if it is not able to meet the expected outcomes, then it will be a waste of money for the organization, right? Therefore, it is important for any organization to keep a check on whether they were able to achieve the outcomes or not, right? So so this event evaluation helps the organization or the organizers to estimate whether they have achieved their expected outcomes or not. Clear, everyone? Fatima, are you following me? Mr. Sarfaraz, are you following me? Okay. Next is to understand who attends the event to determine who else can be targeted. Right. Now suppose if it is a promotional event, right? Now sometimes the organizations organize the events where they where they call up their vendors, right? And during the event, what they do, they launch any product or express the benefits of their product or services, right? Now, they can't ask their vendors directly whether they are interested in the product or not. They can do it, but at a later stage, right? So, what they do, they send the mass invitation to all the vendors, right? And at the end of the event, while they were evaluating, what they can do is, if there are vendors who have not attended the event, they can reach to the conclusion that those vendors are not interested in those services or products, right? So the organizers can leave such vendors, right? There is no need to waste time and money in approaching those vendors, right? So it will help the organization in that way very much, right? It will give them a clear picture of who are interested, which part of the society is more interested, so they can focus more on them, right? So they can easily segregate the target audience after the evaluation of an event, or sometimes they can also evaluate which which age group of people are more interested in their products, right? If they see the participation of youth is very much there as compared to people of between age 40 to 50 or 50 to 60, right? Then they will focus more on the youth, right? Then their target customers will be the youths. So it helps the organization in that way to understand their target customers. Clear? Clear, everyone? Any doubts so far? Anyone has? Okay. Next point. To determine worth of the event to its workers and volunteers. Right. We can also evaluate the importance of such event from the workers and volunteers perspective. Right. It will give, at the end of the event, it will give a clear picture to the organization about the participation or enthusiasm level of their workers and volunteers. Right. Next point, to determine whether and how the event can remain viable and become sustainable. This is another point. Now let's see the externally driven reasons. Number one, to determine level of awareness of sponsors of the products or services. Right, how aware are the sponsors of the products and services are. To satisfy accountability requirement. I already explained this point. To determine the level of media interest and coverage, right? How much the media is covering the event or not, right? Now, media goes with the perception of the peoples, right? If the media is not giving enough coverage, it means that peoples are less interested in such events or such services which are being promoted with the help of those events, right? And if the party and if the media gives a lot of coverage, it means that the peoples are very much interested in such product, right? Because the view of media have a great impact on the peoples. The view of media has a great impact on peoples, right? Have any one of you organized, evaluated any event or organized any event in your professional career? Does any one of you got the chance? Did anyone evaluate any event? Or Sandeep says once. Sandeep, could you please elaborate on what kind of event you have evaluated or organized? Harith says exhibitions. What kind of exhibitions, Harith? Could you brief? '31st night. Okay, that's great. Any event related to the organization for marketing the product or service or for promoting your product or services, something like that? I'm not asking about social events. We take part in exhibitions to promote the products. Okay. So what role were you playing, Harid? Were you the organizer, volunteer, coordinator? And we check the feedback that we have got. Okay. Okay. Right. Next point is to determine events level of impact on the tourist arrivals, to determine events level of impact on business and other related industries, to determine whether event satisfies the expectations of the community stakeholders or not, to determine worth of the event to its patrons. Here there are a lot of exhibitions to showcase our products and services. Okay, great. Right. So these are some of the reasons which you can go through. Let's move to the next slide. Now, what to evaluate? This is a very important question. At the end of the evaluate, what all parameters you want to evaluate or scrutinize? For example, being construction, we take part in Big Five, etc. Okay, that's good. So everyone, if everyone gets the chance in your organization to participate in the event, always do, right? Whether it will be a volunteer job or coordinator job, right? It will give you a good exposure, right? And also it will help you increase. It will help you in networking with new peoples in the society, right? You can interact with a lot of new peoples, which will create a lot of opportunity for all of you, right? From a career point of view, right? So Anyone gets the chance, never miss it. Okay, Rajiv says right to quality audit and inspection. Okay, that's good. Now, what to evaluate? Number one, event elements. With event elements, I mean the number of patrons, size of the group, demographic of patrons. Does everyone understand the term patrons or not? Patrons means a person who gives financial or other support to an organization or a person for a cause, right? They might be your sponsors, right? This is the definition of patrons. A person or an organization who gives financial or other types of support to a person, organization for a specific cause, right? Number of patrons, size of the group, demographic of patrons, attendees, address, source of information on the event. What is this? Number of times attending, patron satisfaction, quality and impact of event program, quality of merchandise, food and beverage, etc. This is the first thing that you will evaluate. Next thing is event organization elements. That is nature and quantum of resources, human resources, volunteers, perception working on the event, income and expenditure, cash flows, level of investment, sponsorship in dollars or riyal or rupees, whatever the currency of the local country. Next is event context elements. What do we mean by this? The nature and amount of local suppliers used, impacts on event, impacts of event on community from community perspectives, the level of media coverage, media value, interest and presence. Clear? These are the three elements, or these are the parameters on which you can evaluate. Clear to everyone? Any doubts? I hope my voice is coming clear to everyone and there is no background noise. Right, let's proceed to the next slide. Now, event evaluation data, right? So we can collect three types of data. One is the numerical data, one is the descriptive data, and third one is both numerical and descriptive. Evaluation considerations, right? What all things to keep in consideration while evaluating? Number one, does the event organization or event host have access to the requisite resources to conduct an event evaluation exercise? Next consideration, have event evaluations been conducted on the event in the past? And if so, how often and what kind of evaluation? Right. So what we do, we at the end of event, right, or at the end of evaluation, a report is made, right, and that report is submitted to the event manager, right, and then the event manager cross-check that report with the evaluation of the previous events organized, right. and then they see the difference, or whether the problems or the loopholes which were there in the previous event were overcome in this event or not. Next, what use was made of the evaluation report, right? And that report is and a copy of that report is also submitted to the patron and as well as the management, right? What is the nature of the environment in which the event operates? Can it facilitate the execution of an event evaluation? Can it facilitate the execution? Does the event have access to a wide range of information it can use to conduct the evaluation exercise, right? So the organizers set up parameters in the beginning only that they will evaluate it on this parameter, on this parameter, on this parameter. The parameters that I already explained, right? Here, these are the parameters. On these parameters, you will do your evaluation, right? Clear, everyone? Any doubts so far? Does anyone have any doubts or any questions? Okay, Mr. Ansul has joined. Mr. Ansul, can you hear me? You can reply to me in the chat box. So, welcome to IMTS. Hope you are doing good and can hear me clearly. You have joined late, 40 minutes late. Anyways, so the topic that we are learning today is event evaluation, right? So we were just going through the evaluation considerations, right? No issues. Please try to join on time for next time, right? You can go to the recorded class, right, of the lecture, of the part of the lecture you have missed. Okay. Let's move to the next slide. Now, event evaluation approaches. How will you approach, right? Every organization has their own way of approaching, right? Right. One of the approaches is quantitative approach. Quantitative means when we talk of the facts and figures, right? So the primarily concerned with counting complex data sets such as attendance levels, information sources, and event activities. Then we have the challenges and limitations of using quantitative approaches. What are the challenges? Low response rates to surveys, right? Most of the times the organizers do the surveys or they distribute the feedback form, right? Inconsistencies arising out of varied interpretations of terminology used in surveys, leading to overcalculation and possible misinterpretation of data, right? So it is very important to explain the terminology, right? So most of you have seen at the end of the form they wrote note, right, and they put an asterisk of the complex words, right, so that it will be easier for the layman to understand what is written in the surveys or feedback form. Right. What about the social impacts? What type of approaches might be used to evaluate these? Second approach, quantitative, but they have a different approach. It utilizes open-ended to allow for in-depth responses and focuses on capturing opinions and attitudes on matters such as reasons for attending the event, benefits sought, level of satisfaction, stakeholders' attitude, etc. So they evaluate on these parameters, right? So in the feedback form or evaluation form, they ask these questions based on these parameters. Can complement quantitative approaches because useful details can emerge that may not be derived or represented numerically. Next point, challenges and limitations of quantitative approaches exclusively. They cannot reach the numbers of quantitative approaches. Right? They can do it for a limited audience. That is the problem. Next approach, financial approach. Any doubt so far? Anyone has? Mansul, any doubt? Sarfaraz, any doubt? Others, any doubt? Sanoban, are you following me? Khadija? Sahel? Sheikh Mohammed? All of you following me? Okay. Raise any doubt? Fatima, any doubt? Okay. Okay, so let's see the financial approach. Okay, just give me a second. Let me put the laptop charger because the battery is finishing up. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay. Everyone can hear me clearly? Okay. So let's see the financial approach. In the financial approach, the organizers are concerned with collecting, assessing, and monitoring numerical data on the fiscal elements of the event, such as cash flow, gate receipts, patron expenditure, profit, loss, and debt. Right? So, when they are dealing with financial approach, they keep a check on these things. Like how much the patron or your sponsor has spent on the event, what was the profit, because there is a entry fees as well in some events, right? So the gate receipts are checked in that case, right? Whether the event was a profitable one or a loss or a debt, right? How much cash flow came, right? So all these parameters are checked. Next we have economic approach. In economic approach, they examine the numerical data related to employment, tax, visitor expenditure, and triggered economic activity in other business and related industries. Right? Now the challenge with both the approach, like this financial and economic approach, can be addressed through the use of non-financial and non-economic approaches. Let's see this fourth approach, which I was mentioning back. That is the non-financial and non-economic approach. Here the organizers utilize qualitative approach, not the quantitative, right? Qualitative approach to monitor and assess fiscal and economic matters that cannot be easily quantified but which are relevant, such as assessment of intangible cost and benefits. Does everyone understand the term intangible? Yes or no? Does everyone understand the term intangible? Or should I explain? Which can only be felt, yes. Okay, let me write it down. That it will be clear to all of you. Yeah. Let's read this quickly. Some key and common intangible costs might include a drop in employee morale, dissatisfaction with working conditions, or customer disappointment with a decline in service or product quality. Right? Intangible cost results from an identifiable source, but the costs are often not predicted. They may occur after a new practice or policy is put into effect, such as a cut in staffing levels or in employee benefits. Managers can try to estimate intangible costs as soon as they see a pattern of loss. This estimate will be the basis of a decision to either change or to continue a practice that frustrates employees or customers. If a new procedure has injured an employee, the company may need to act quickly to avoid government fines and inspections. Right? It has more to do with the employees' intellectuals or emotions. Right, so assessment of stakeholders' perceptions. Assessment of intangible costs and benefits. Next is assessment of net value. Then we have assessment of stakeholders' perception. Then we have assessment of economic and market factors that can influence the event. So all these parameters are considered in this approach, which is a non-financial and non-economic approach. Right. So these four approaches are very important. That in exams, you may be asked to explain all these four approaches, along with mentioning the parameters assessed in all these four approaches. Clear, everyone? Any doubts so far? Now, the critical three S that I was mentioning in the beginning. The first S is significance, the second S is success, the third S is sustainability. With significance, I mean event significance or event importance, right? So in event significance, we are assessing, measuring, and monitoring the nature, purpose, and intent of the event and feasibility to realize the expected outcome. In event success, we are determining whether the event execution and contributing elements have achieved the expected outcomes or not. Right? So here you are seeing one term, expected outcomes. Right? Expected outcome is what? What we have planned to achieve in the beginning by the end of the event. What we will be able to achieve by the end of the event. Right? So they cross-check. Next is event sustainability, measuring, assessing, and monitoring the event's impact on the environment and community and the potential for the event to be continued in future. If the response is good from the vendors or from the participators, it will be conducted in future as well. and if the expected outcome is achieved, the company won't hesitate in organizing such events again in future if they are solving their purpose or goals. Yeah, everyone? So this is what we mean by 3S. Event significance, event success, and event sustainability. Sheikh Mohammed, clear? Rajiv, clear? Ashwin? Sunil? Right. Now these are some of the event evaluation models. This was these are all history of event evaluation. Right? Who has created what model? Right? You can read them. Right? You can read them in free time. Right? This PPT will be uploaded in LMS in a couple of days, and you can read all these models. Nothing much to explain. Now let's see the event types and evaluation tools. So one of the tools we use is Image Maker for content analysis. We use the tourism product for visitor exit survey. For economic development catalyst, we use economic impact assessment. Right. Now suppose if anyone has to make their image or make their brand, they use content analysis. Right. If anyone has to evaluate the tourism product, they will do this visitor exit survey. At the end of the trip, the organizers will give one form to the visitors and try to get their feedback. Right. If economic development catalyst is required, do you know what catalyst means? The outside force required for economic development. Right? Then they do economic impact assessment. If transformer of socio-cultural landscape is required, they do social impact scale analysis. Right? You can Google all these terms, right, and you will get the details. Economic impact assessment, how it is done, right, based on your field or your you can do this. If you are from the environment field, you can do sustainable development model. For that, you can do environmental impact analysis. So all these are tools. Clear, everyone? So I think that is all for today. You have one more class after this, after 2 minutes, right? We can wind up the class now. If anyone has any questions, you can ask me, right? And please fill the feedback form at the end of the class, everyone. Okay. I hope all of you liked the lecture and it was interesting. Right, so thank you very much. Good night. Bye bye. Take care. See you tomorrow.